Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Clutch Dump. It is episode 37, and we actually don't have as much to talk about as we normally do. But don't get used to it, because this will probably be the least cluttered episode this entire racing season. I'm Nicholas Patty. I am joined by the lovely Ben Walther. But
Hello.
Before we get into this last weekend's action, make sure to follow us across the social media. Follow us on Instagram at The Clutch Dump. Follow us wherever you find your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Pandora. We are there. So make sure, if you're listening to this with audio only, to drop a follow or a subscription. And if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. I'm sorry I didn't put my makeup on to look all beautiful for you. But make sure to follow or subscribe there and turn on that notification bell.
20 years of trying, 20 years.
And Senna sprints away. Banana.
Straight. Rossi's right in behind Lorenzo.
The 101st Indianapolis 500 is won by Takuma Sato. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
Oh, Ben, we had the conclusion of F1 testing. We had NASCAR. We had World Superbike. I would say this is a well-rounded episode for being this early into the motorsport season.
There is, it's not nearly as crowded as some of our episodes are going to be, as I did make our calendar for this year. And there's some where we have like 9 races in a weekend that we have to cover. I say have to cover. We don't have to cover any of them. We choose to possibly cover.
I didn't even see it in the notes, and I'm sorry, but we also have Drive to Survive to cover. So
we also have Drive to Survive and Formula E, which he just glossed over.
Well, Ben, there's never been a podcast where I've highlighted that Formula E happened.
You know, don't knock it till you try it. I mean, it's certainly more interesting than NASCAR. So
it's Jules with wheels, like JUUL.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like,
not crown jewels.
I mean, like the new cars are like diamond shaped, so like jewels would have made sense.
No, Formula E.
Is that what the kids are doing these days? I don't know.
Oh, hell if I know. I'm the oldest person here, so
that's fair. I'm the second oldest person here. Well, anyway,
what do you want to start with, my friend?
I say we start with NASCAR, because
let's get it out of the way.
Because honestly, I kind of forgot that NASCAR happened this weekend. So Nick Patty, what happened at the Auto Club 400?
Yeah, so NASCAR this weekend was interesting because I forgot NASCAR was happening until I was at the gym and I looked up at the TVs while I was doing cardio and I was like, oh, Tony Stewart, there's NASCAR right now. So then I cut my workout short and then drove home so I could watch it. And then I got home and didn't watch it because what happened between me leaving the gym and getting home from the gym was enough Twitter fury at how boring of a race it was that I was like, maybe it's not worth watching.
Well, to be fair, it is NASCAR.
Well, okay. So the Auto Club 400 was at Fontana. And Fontana's in Southern California, if you don't know, and it's a super speedway. Interesting kind of drama context. I don't know how you'd prefer to categorize it, but apparently real estate developers came in and bought like 80% of the current property, not even racetrack, just property. So this is the last time that Fontana has been run as a super speedway. I believe it was a 2-mile track. This was the last NASCAR Cup Series race with it in that configuration. It is going to take a few-year hiatus from the NASCAR Cup Series calendar because they are now building a short track out of it. So with the remaining like 20% of the property, they're basically going to build a Bristol, but in Southern California. Bigger talking point is this was the last super speedway race in California, period. So that's kind of sad. I mean, it's not like we lost Talladega or Daytona, but
right. Still,
listen, super speedways are a rare breed these days.
They're pretty cool.
Listen, when you're going 200 miles an hour and your average is like 192, that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
So that was Fontana, but the results were something that for the history books, not that records were broken, but Kyle Busch, after winning one race all of last year, in his second race in a Chevy, well, I shouldn't say that because he was with Rick Hendrick at the beginning of his career, in his second appearance in a Chevrolet Camaro, second appearance with RCR, he comes home victorious 1 week after, you all remember, his very choice opinions about the Daytona 500. So not that the Auto Club 400 is any replacement for the Daytona 500, but Kyle Busch has won in 2023, which, if you watch the broadcast, Richard Childress was very, like, he was all poker faced up. He was keeping a straight face, and the television camera is like focused on him, and you just see him going like this. And I'm not going to do the full spin because I'm in a chair, but then he'd continue. And he did that for like 4 laps straight. So he was very like, I'm not gonna assume we've won until it happens.
Until we're done.
Yeah, but it did happen. They won. Most of the Twitter storm was basically saying that it was a trashy race. Apparently, and I didn't see this because I didn't watch all of the race, but there was a late restart in which Joey Logano has been blamed as the cause of the accident. So apparently there were a lot of accidents and restarts, and this whole weekend was delayed until Sunday because it was snowing in Southern California at Fontana.
Yes, Southern California is having some weird weather right now.
It's either half the state burning to the ground or it's a winter wonderland, and there's no in between.
A lot of it was flooded. Like a lot of
Really?
There was a lot of flooding in Southern California this weekend.
Well, so was part of it was flooded, and then it turned into snow, and it was a whole mess. So
whole shebang.
The race, the Cup Series race happened when it was supposed to, but there's no practice. The Xfinity and Truck Series races were delayed. So, and I didn't know this, but Tony Stewart was saying, and I have something in my eye. Tony Stewart was
about
saying,
to say, are you dying over there, dude? I
I'm
was going to let it go. I just assumed it was going to stop, but
nope, it's never going to stop. It's here forever. Tony Stewart was saying it's apparently called, they call it when the track is weeping. And I was like, that's awfully depressing. But what it is just moisture that's been absorbed into the asphalt. And as the cars go over it, it apparently draws up the moisture out of the asphalt.
It makes sense.
And so, like, when you're watching the Cup Series race, I wouldn't call it rooster tails, but it's like a mixture of dust and dirt and, like, very fine moisture.
Very light mist.
Yeah, coming up off the track. So that was kind of interesting and weird. Chase Elliott came home in second. I have a Fox Sports article I am going to pull a few things out of. But Christopher Bell started on pole. He was knocked out of the race. Apparently he didn't know who to blame, but he basically blamed everybody that wasn't him.
Sure.
And Joey Logano was saying something about restart zones. But more importantly, more interestingly than what happened at the NASCAR race, no, actually, you weren't here for the Daytona 500.
I was not.
My brother-in-law, Brendan, if you're listening, we were making fun of Joey Logano's new hair because apparently during the off-season, he got sponsored by one of those the hair regrowing brands.
Sure.
And so Ben will probably put up photos, but here is Joey Logano prior to Bosley or whatever it was.
Okay.
And then here's a photo after. And he has gone from, like, the Red Sea being parted down the middle, balding, to the most fake head of hair I've ever seen. And I literally, when we saw him on the Daytona 500, I was laughing. I was like, is that a piece? I was like, that doesn't even look legit. That doesn't even look natural. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I was lectured by somebody on TikTok today about how it's not cool to make fun of Joey Logano for his hair, which I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying, if you're going to regrow your hair, it needs to at least look legit. Like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, that's a toupee. Clearly, no hesitation, which apparently he has or suffers from alopecia, which in the TikTok video, they said he suffers from it. And I just want to change the dialogue because nobody suffers from it. They put up with. It's a nuisance. They don't suffer.
It doesn't look that fake. It's not that bad. It's not.
It is.
It looks about as real as your hair does. Anyway, there will be pictures. Moving on.
All right. Yeah, we're done with NASCAR. I'm kind of glad it was a short NASCAR weekend. I'm going to be honest.
Yay! Nick, when is our next NASCAR race?
Probably next weekend. I don't know, actually. Let me look. You move on, and I'll look it up.
This is your job.
This is my
yes, it
arena.
is next weekend.
Oh, wow. Oh, Las Vegas?
Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The Alsco Uniforms 300.
I will say this. You gotta love how this is one thing I wish F1 would take from NASCAR is the sponsors being a sponsor for the race. Like, instead of the Hungarian Grand Prix, let's say the Hungarian Grand Prix was 300 miles, 200 miles. I really wish it was like Hungary's a bad example. Let's say it's Italy. And instead of,
or if it's the United States Grand Prix, it could be the Busch Light 200 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The Chef Boyardee 300. That's really what I want.
Oh
from
my
F1
gosh!
Is
yeah. Something I wish NASCAR would take from F1 is right turns. Anyway, actually, that's a good question. When do we have our first
road course race in NASCAR?
Road course.
That's a good question. I have no clue. I know I'm a lot of help.
I'm gonna let you figure that out, and while you do that,
I was supposed to be looking.
You were supposed to be. Well, I was looking, and then I decided that instead of two people not talking, one person could talk about World Superbike, and the other could figure out NASCAR things. So we did have this past weekend something that I was very excited about, and that is the opening weekend of World Superbike for 2023. And something to note about World Superbike is they do double header weekends. So there is a race Saturday and there was a race Sunday. And for the opening round, they were at one of my favorite tracks of all time, and that is Phillip Island. There'll be pictures of the racetrack here. Not only is it just a cool track. Yes.
I have the answer to your question.
Yes, answers, questions.
It's Coda, March 27th.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm kind of bummed I'll be missing that.
Yeah, you will be missing it. You'll be missing so much freedom. I don't even know what to do with it.
Actually, and by the way, wait, March 27th. It'd be March 26th. 27th is a Monday.
Well, it says 27th on the schedule. I wish I
That
could
is
screen
incorrect.
share.
My birthday is on a Saturday.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm screenshotting this, and I'm just going to send it to you.
No. March 27th, Monday. According to my calendar.
Wait a minute.
Are you sending this to me?
I'm going to. This is the NASCAR website. Oh, my God. This was last year.
Oh my gosh, Nick. Can't take this guy anywhere.
I don't know why they would have last year's schedule. Who cares?
I mean, to be fair, you can, on the F1 website, find, the 1952 schedule if you feel so inclined.
Yes, it's the 26th.
Okay, look at that. Anyway, opening round of World Superbike saw races 1 and 2 in Phillip Island, and it was nothing short of an absolute masterclass for Alvaro Bautista. If that name sounds familiar, if you have dabbled in the World Superbike world, that is because he is your 2022 World Superbike champion for Aruba Racing on that Ducati Panigale V4R. Now, I'm not going to run through the full results. I will run through the top 5. If you want the full results, go to YouTube. There we picture here. But for race 1, we had Alvaro Bautista followed by Jonathan Rea. If Jonathan Rea does not sound familiar,
it's Jonathan Ray, you son of a gun.
Is it Ray?
It's Jonathan Ray, and I don't even watch Superbike.
Well, the announcer said Rea, so my bad.
The announcer doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, he announces World Superbike. So Jonathan Ray, who is the world champion from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Right?
With Kawasaki on a ZX-10RR now. And then in third place was Toprak Ratsgatlioglu. Yes, I did pronounce that one right, Nicholas. Okay, that one is correct. Because I ride a Yamaha, so I'm legally obligated to know how to pronounce his name.
I love, for our Super GT episode, you're like, I don't know how to say,
no,
I was about to say something I probably can't say, but I don't know how to say this name. And I was like, oh, let me do it for you. And it was like a 2-syllable name, but you're over here like,
Toprak Razgatlioglu. I'm a Yamaha fan.
Razgatlioglu.
Yeah, it's actually not that hard to say. It kind of rolls off the tongue pretty well. And he is your 2021 World Superbike champion, and he races for Yamaha. Now, he did not have the best days on race 2 for Sunday, as he did DNF, as he was collected by one Alex Lowe's, who is Jonathan Ray's partner for Kawasaki. But one thing I do want to talk about is one Danilo Petrucci. If you watched MotoGP a couple years ago, for a while, that name will sound familiar. Last year, he was in Moto America, and he has jumped from Moto America all the way up to World Superbike, which is super good to see. He finished 8th for race 1 and 9th for race 2. The other person, yes,
he jumped up from Moto America after being kicked from heaven to like the 9th ring of hell from MotoGP to Moto America.
I wouldn't say Moto America races are pretty sick to watch.
Sure. But
yeah,
Lemons is fun to watch. You don't see the best in the world at Lemons.
You know, I was trying to be positive.
The prosecution rests.
Moto America is not as cool as World Superbike or GP. I will give you that. However, it's like the third best thing you can get. So there you go. So Petrucci finished 8th on Saturday and 9th on Sunday. So pretty solid finish for someone who's just hopped up into the World Superbike world. It's much more competitive from Moto America. It's much more competitive than Moto America. And the bikes ride way different than MotoGP bikes. So I'm not surprised at all. I predict he will be, I don't know, I predict he'll get a few podiums this season. Now, someone that I really had my eye on for this weekend was Scott Redding on the new BMW M1000RR. He finished 9th on Saturday and finished 13th on Sunday. Now, Scott Redding used to ride for Ducati for several years. And then last year he made the jump for this year's season to BMW for that M1000RR. And overall, the M1000RR doesn't look super strong. He was the highest finishing M1000RR on Saturday in that 9th place and was the second highest finishing behind Michael Vandermark in 12th position on Sunday. But so far, one weekend into the season, Alvaro Bautista leads the championship by 28 points already, which is super impressive because it's World Superbike, so it's a doubleheader weekend, and you get points for Super Pole races, and he won both. So he won both Super Pole races and both races for the weekend. So he got an astonishing 64 points in one race weekend, which is more than most riders will make throughout the whole season. So, as a Yamaha fanboy, I'd like to see Razgat Lioglu doing a bit better. That was just an excuse to say his... it'll probably just by the end of the season, I'll just refer to him as Top Rack Ravioli or something. But I'd like to see him doing a bit better.
Top Rack Ravioli?
Top Shelf Ravioli. That's what he is. That bottom shelf
stuff. You know me and my boy.
Top Shelf Ravioli. So I'd like to see him doing a bit better throughout the season. But that's because I'm obligated to be a Yamaha fanboy. And that is all the time.
Rack Rigatoni.
And that is all the time that I will spend on World Superbike for the sake of Nick and the fact that we do have fun to talk about.
You know me
later.
And my homeboy. Top Rack Lasagna.
Okay, Nick, do we want to talk about Le Mans or Formula E?
I want to talk about the fact that Cars and Coffee is returning to Dakota April 8th. Are you going to go?
April 8th?
They just announced that.
Yeah. Are they not doing one for when Super Lab Battle is? What?
Cars and Coffee Austin returns to Dakota for an 8-event season. The free monthly car meetup kicks off Sunday, March 12th. March 12th. My apologies.
Sick. Okay, Super Lab Battle. By the way, are you going? Are you going? Are you doing the thing?
I will buy a ticket like the day before because I can't think that far ahead.
Well, let me know if you're going because I'm going. I've already bought a ticket. I want to go for both days. That's the problem.
Okay, well, which day are you going right now?
Both.
Well, then why does it matter if I'm going?
Well, I need to know if, like, it really doesn't, but I just want to know.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. All right.
Okay, I'm trying to get a crew of cohorts to go. Some hooligans, some scoundrels. No Dodge Challengers.
I will probably go because I'm going to try to take the Turbo Cup. And you and I should probably do some clutch dump stuff from it. So
probably. Yeah, especially since we can just like walk around the pits and stuff. So yeah. Also there's going to be like cars with wings and stuff.
And I'll have my new phone. So
Nick Patty,
yes.
Do you want to talk about Le Mans or Formula E?
Formula E, because unlike Le Mans, Porsche won.
So far. Anyway,
what do you mean? Well, yes, because Porsche will win Le Mans. Good catch, my good man.
I got you. I'm with you on that one. Even though I'm not Ferrari for the win. But Formula E, we did have the Cape Town E-Prix this past weekend, and
you know me, my favorite.
Honestly, dude, I'll be honest. I like them. They're a cool brand. Like the 986 Boxster is like the coolest car in the world. But like, if you could stop winning so much stuff, that'd be much appreciated. So this weekend, Antonio Felix da Costa did win the E-Prix for Tag Heuer Porsche. Now, if you've heard of Tag Heuer Porsche being on top in Formula E this season, that will be from Pascal Wehrlein. Even though he did not finish this race, he did have a DNF, even though he still leads the championship by nearly 20 points.
Porsche better win this championship. That's all I'm saying.
They're looking pretty strong so far. Second place for this weekend was Jean-Eric Verne for DS Penske, followed by Nick Cassidy of Envision Racing. I will put the full finishing order here on the screen. There were 5 DNFs for the weekend, which is not actually unheard of for Formula E because it's really fast racing and it's all street circuits. So there's always a lot of DNFs, which does make things exciting. But your standings as we sit are Pascal Wehrlein for Tag Heuer Porsche with 80 points, Jake Dennis for Avalanche Andretti with 62, and Jean-Eric Verne for DS Penske with 50 points.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
I saw what number the Garage 56 car is going to run, and I'm a happy boy. I am a happy boy.
I was wondering if you will have seen that. And the next race for Formula E is, if their website will load faster,
please.
Sao Paulo, March 25th, outstanding. So I'll make sure to not watch that because
Sao Paulo is in the Formula One circuit, or no?
No, they don't. They run on 0 Formula One circuits.
That's a shame.
I know. I really wish they would, but apparently they're like really long and the cars can't drive that far, something like that. Sao Paulo, round 6, March 25th. So we have a 1-month break till our next Formula E race. So Nick Patty, your ears are spared. Now, yes. I got a lovely email this morning. From the 24 Hours demo. And it said
someone's going.
Well, I bought a ticket, so they're like, here, emails and stuff. I just had to mention that to Nick one more time. I'm sure I'll bring it up again at some point.
Oh, but wait, you mean like me drinking out of my mug that I got at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona? Oh,
I'll get one, but it'll have 16 hypercars on it because my email this morning...
This roll of film that I have from taking photos at the 24 Hours of Daytona?
Are you going to get that developed?
When I have money, yes. I just bought a new phone, my friend. I'm not.
But I got a lovely email this morning that I was not expecting. And it was, here is the full entry list for the 2023 24 Hours of Le Mans, which is something I've been trying to find. Because
I got that info without having to subscribe to a stupid newsletter because I have Instagram.
I don't. Also, I emailed it to you.
I know you did, but I got it from Instagram. Like,
this is true. But I don't exactly know what qualifies you to be in the 24 Hours of Le Mans because I know not everyone gets to go.
Right.
So it's something about points and racing points. I don't know. Is it just money? Is that all it is?
I'm sure money has a part to play.
I'm sure it doesn't hurt. But the full entry list, there are 62 cars racing, which is
there's only one that matters.
There's only one that, for you, there's 4 that matter.
Yes.
Well, let's see. I don't know. 14 that matter.
Also, I'm just going to correct you. I haven't changed it in the doc yet because you're wrong, and I wanted you to see that you're wrong.
Okay.
Ben, what Porsche did you incorrectly list as running in this year's Le Mans?
None of them. I don't think. Nope. Put it back.
Nope.
Incorrect. Email I got sent says RSR.
Well, if Le Mans is going to follow the new ACO regulations, it's the GT3R.
Well, and if you will also notice, the 488 is running, not the 296. There are no current cars running.
Well,
It's RSR.
then you know what? No, hold on. Let me rewind. Let me undo.
I expect an apology.
Here's your apology,
I would
Ben.
like an apology.
I am so sorry that you're paying thousands of dollars to go watch a 24-hour race with worse spectator visibility and seeing last year's cars. I'm sorry. When I paid when I paid half what you paid, and I got to see all of the brand new cars. So I am sorry, Ben. That's my formal apology.
Let me see. Let me look at this.
I'm also sorry that whoever you like as an F1 driver will be behind Fernando. I'm also sorry about that.
Let's see. Look at this. Proton Competition 2019 Porsche 911 RSR. Look at that. Crazy. Anyway.
Okay. Enjoy your old, outdated platforms.
I haven't seen any of them run. I've never seen a GT car run. So
that is
fun.
That is not true. You went to Ferrari Challenge.
They're challenge cars. They're not the same.
They are super damn close.
Well, GT3R and an RSR are super close. Anyway, so Nick, if you could go ahead and change that back to RSR, just so that I don't get confused, that would be lovely.
No,
thank you.
Sure.
So there are going to be 62 entries in this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans, 16 hypercars, 24 LMP2 cars, and 21 LMGTE AM cars.
I'm super grateful that Penske's adding a third Porsche because the last two broke.
One singular, the one and only Chevrolet Camaro ZL1.
Which you might as well call it a Sherman or an M1 Abrams tank because it is the forefront, the symbol, the pinnacle of American freedom, ingenuity, and ignorance.
Absolutely.
In one machine.
And the big news surrounding that car today, which kind of just like was a subtle drop. Like there wasn't.
It's like a little
just sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
The Garage 56 Next Gen Camaro will be running the number 24. Nick, Patty, how excited are you?
I'm very excited.
A number 24 fan.
I'm so excited that they don't have the number 24 driver, either of them, in Chase Elliott or Jeff Gordon or William Byron. So that's all three of them. And I'm so glad they chose a Brit and a retired, washed-up Cup Series champion.
Can I crush your soul for like 5 seconds? You
can absolutely crush my soul. You do it on a daily basis.
It's because they're racing in the 24 Hours of Le Mans is the actual reason.
Yeah, that's crazy. Last time I thought about it, like Jimmy Johnson's dog water at road course races. That's funny.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm just gonna mute you. I'm gonna turn your mic off.
I'm gonna offer a bet. I'm gonna offer a wager.
Please.
I will bet you.
Mm-hmm.
$40.
$40 whole dollars.
That Jimmy Johnson will be involved in an accident in the number 24 Garage 56 car.
$40. So if he is involved in an accident, I give you $40.
Yes. Yes.
If he's
yes. And
if he's not, you will give me $40.
Correct.
That is perfect. I will virtually shake your hand on that, sir. Very well. Okay, I need $40.
Jimmy Johnson will wreck somebody.
I'm
fully expecting it for
fine.
I am fully expecting him to try to pull out of the draft and just completely misjudge it.
No, he'll be fine.
Like, I couldn't see the LMP2 car because it's lower than my hood.
So that is true, dude. I'm terrified of how big that car is going to be on track.
Like looking in the forest, like what a beautiful day, and he's going to hit something.
Just looking over everything. All he's going to see is just the top of wings. That's going to be it.
He's like, did I hit something? And there's an LMP2 car over the fence behind him.
Well, so there is one Camaro. However, there are 16 hypercars, which is what we're really excited about.
Yes,
and that consists
fantastic.
And that consists of 3 963s, 3 Cadillac V LMDHs, 1 Van Wall 680, which is super cool.
It's unfortunate that Van Wall's only running one car.
Only running one car, super good looking car, stoked for that, but I am excited to see it. 2 Toyota GR010s, 2 Ferrari 499Ps, 2 Peugeot 9X8s, which is the best looking car on the grid behind the Camaro, and 2 Glickenhaus 007s.
The Peugeot is worse looking than the Ferrari the
I
Porsche,
apologize.
the Glickenhaus.
Please let me correct myself. One Glickenhaus 007, not two. My
The
apologies.
Peugeot looks worse than the Porsche, the Van Wall, and the Ferrari. Just facts. Also,
agreed to disagree.
Who ever wanted 24 LMP2 cars?
Well, it's
listen, they're cool. Don't get me wrong, they're cool. They sound cool. They look cool.
Yeah.
It's good racing.
Yeah.
Do we need 24
What's
of
the
them?
problem?
Because we know 21 of them will not even be remotely in contention, and it will come down to 2 cars fighting for the lead, and third place is almost a lap down, like 2.5 minutes down.
Nick, it's just more cars for the Camaro to pass. Think about it that way.
It won't, though.
Just more cars. It won't pass them. It's true.
No, exactly.
It's not as fast as an LMP2 car. But it's more cars for it to overtake when they all break down. There we go. Now we're thinking. Nick, do you have any more comments on the Le Mans entry list?
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, we have Porsche is tied for the most cars in any category in hypercar, and it's tied for and it has the most cars in LMGT EM. So, not that Porsches were unreliable in the first place, but if there are some that are unreliable, listen. I'm going to make another prediction. You ready to put another? Let's do $20.
Jesus Christ!
$20. Porsche wins hypercar and GTE AM.
Both.
And
Top step both.
If they win one, lose one, you get the $20.
Perfect. I'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. You are going to give me $60, sir. I'm very excited.
And you're going to owe me part of your Camaro. That's what you have for collateral.
That's absolutely true.
Here's the teacup.
Moving on from endurance racing, we have F1 testing.
That's why you can't tell, but that's why I'm wearing green.
Is that green?
Yeah, my webcam's
okay.
Dog water.
Oh, Apple problems. Anyway, but before we get to testing, we have 2 very big pieces of news. Number one being Felipe Drugovich will stand in for Lance Stroll. Now, this is something I wanted to bring up because when we did our last prediction episode, that'd be episode 36 for you who haven't listened, but you should go listen to it. Actually, you heathens, scoundrels,
scallywags,
meddling kids. Felipe Drugovich will be standing in for Lance Stroll for the first round in Bahrain this coming weekend. That's
already one weekend where Alonso beats Stroll because Stroll isn't competing.
I predict, and not even really predict, I agree what most people are saying, and that Stroll could miss the first 2, maybe even 3 rounds. Because, supposedly, Lance Stroll has broken both of his wrists.
Yes, that's the talk on the street.
Which, for starters, unfortunate. It is unfortunate that you have the most secure seat in Formula One.
Also, it's unfortunate that you have such brittle wrists that you break both of them at the same time.
I thought they were athletes. I thought they're manly men.
Lance Stroll can crash at 160 miles an hour and keep his hands firmly on the steering wheel. Not even a bruise.
Totally fine. It crashes a stationary bike.
Yeah. Trips, slips off a standing still bicycle.
Yep.
A Peloton.
Breaks both of his wrists.
He didn't even get a hand to an elbow and roll onto his shoulder. He didn't
break one, not sprain one, not sprain both. Break both. Not
break one, sprain one. Break both. Not break one. Nothing on the other. He broke. It's a 2.5 foot fall. You're sitting down and
Could you imagine, though? Think about it for a second.
Yeah. Could you imagine walking into
phone call
room?
to Lawrence Stroll?
What do you mean the phone call? Lance gets up and he goes, "Mommy, Daddy, I hurt myself." He opens the door. They're like, "Son, it's bedtime."
So Felipe Drugovich is standing in for Lance Stroll, at least for Bahrain, possibly for rounds 2 and 3, which would be super cool to see. Because... So, number one, cool, because Felipe Drugovich deserves a seat, and he gets seat time. Fantastic.
Everybody who won anything that isn't F1 deserves a seat. Colton Herta deserves a seat. Oscar Piastri deserves a seat. Felipe Drugovich deserves a seat.
Anyone but Fernando Alonso deserves a seat.
Nico Hulkenberg deserves a seat. Who doesn't deserve a seat?
Fernando Alonso. Moving on. Felipe Drugovich.
At this rate, Roscoe deserves a seat, and we should just custom fit an F1 seat for Lewis's dog.
He is the most famous person on the grid, to be fair. Person? Dog. Non-person. Most famous living thing. Anyway.
I'm not helping you. You're sink or swim.
Dig that hole myself. So Felipe Drugovich gets seat time. Yay, well done. Whatever.
Yay, you get seat time because the owner's son broke both his wrists.
The point is that means just Lance Stroll doesn't have seat time. He didn't do any of preseason testing, which means he hasn't been in this car.
Which is great, you know why? Because if Alonso wanted in the second or third year to potentially win a world championship with Aston Martin, they need all the constructors' points they can get. And Lance Stroll's a better potential driver to get constructors' points than Felipe.
So then he's going to come back after the small break, after the third round, and have no seat time, and then get in the car after he broke both of his wrists, so probably not at full strength. So I don't know. Felipe Drugovich is probably going to finish in the Drivers' Championship in front of Lance Stroll.
What is that, Ben? Did you say both his wrists?
Both. I don't get it.
How
it's
does one
ridiculous.
do that?
However, more importantly than the brittle Canadian,
Lance tried to kill himself. He tried to jump off the roof, and it didn't work. I don't know. All right.
Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya will run.
I am so excited for this.
With no chicane.
Yes.
God bless whoever made that decision.
I can't wait for Forza 8 to come out where I don't have to try to hop a GT3 car over those.
Dude, okay, because every year, I've been following Formula One for a couple of years, you've been following it for a couple decades. Every time since 2015 when they brought this
Literally next year will be 20 years that I've watched F1. Continue.
Okay, you old man. So in 2015 or 14, whenever they introduced the chicane, everyone's like, you know what this did? Absolutely
it was longer ago than that. It was late 2000s.
Was it?
Yeah, it was so like Vettel and Alonso and the Red Bull and Ferrari, it was pre that.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I did not realize. I thought it was sooner than that.
I don't know when exactly, but I know it was before that.
Maybe I'm looking at the fact that it's turns 14 and 15, and that's what's throwing me off. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll go with that. It's totally what that was. I definitely don't know. But there is no chicane, which is good because no one asked for it. It didn't make the racing better. It was just really annoying. All the drivers hated it. The spectators hated it. Everyone hated it. It brought no value to anything whatsoever. So they were like, you know what?
And the Spanish organizers kept getting interrupted during their paella. And they're like, no, we don't want to change the damn chicane.
Straight lines. And they fixed it. And it will, I don't know. It will now be one of probably the best races of the season because there is no chicane.
The chicane was not such a big deal that it kept Catalunya.
The chicane was the only reason I didn't like Formula One, Nick. It was the bane of my existence. The worst thing in the world.
You're like Lewis Hamilton winning all those championships in a row? No problem. That damn chicane? That's a problem.
I like Lewis Hamilton, so. Anyway. Nick, there was some testing, which you quite enjoyed. Mr. Fernando Alonso is the 2023 champion, which is what your name says in our call.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, what?
And I'm going to run through some testing real quick because, my God, is this going to be partially an exciting season, partially very not exciting? And what I have to say is any race that Red Bull doesn't race will be a good race. We have a guest? Oh, it's Watson. Hi, buddy. Watson, congrats. You get to be the thumbnail again.
Yeah. We need to put a racing helmet on him and like a World Drivers Champion crown.
Exactly. I'm gonna put the Dale goggles on him. That's what I'm gonna do.
Do it.
I'll see if I can Photoshop that. I don't know. I might not take the time to do that.
You signed up for it, so.
But I edited it. I didn't sign up for anything. So, I mean, Red Bull. My God, are they too fast? So to no one's real surprise, the Red Bull is incredibly fast.
Yeah, Red Bull was like, oh wait, we get 25% less wind tunnel time. I guess we'll just build less car. That's going to be
better.
Yeah.
So day 1, Max Verstappen topped the boards. Day 2, he was second to Zhou Guanyu. However, Zhou Guanyu was on the C5 tire. Max Verstappen was on the C3 tire. For those of you who don't know, tires, every race weekend you will have a hard, a medium, and a soft. However, there is C5 through C1. C1 being the hardest compound.
C0.
C0 being the softest compound. C5 being... C0 being the hardest,
oh
C5
my God. You've bungled it.
The softest.
Let me explain it. Ladies and gentlemen, C0, new experimental tire, extremely hard. C5, extremely soft. And there's a range in between. Done.
Thank you, Mr. Patty. Anyway, Zhou Guanyu was on the C5 tire, the very sticky boy, so he topped day 2. That run had no purpose, as they will not be running the C5 in Bahrain. The C3 will be the softest tire for the weekend.
Which is
so that
the
was
tire
there.
that Alonso had the best times on.
So that run by Zhou Guanyu was simply there because it could be. And then day 3, Sergio Perez topped the timing boards with quite an outstanding run on a C4 tire. Nick, Patty, would you like to talk about your old Spanish dude that is doing
I would
remarkably
love to.
well?
All I know is I'm going to make sure. I was thinking about it, Ben.
Yes.
If you know Ben and you're an avid watcher of this podcast
or listener,
it's not if you know Ben. Ben knows me, and if you watch this podcast, you'll know I have a lot of Fernando Alonso hats. And I was sitting there, and I was like, should I get the Fernando Aston Martin hat? And then I was like, wait a minute. Last time Fernando was in a Mercedes-powered car, he was reigning world champion. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to buy an Aston Martin hat because I'll just have green. I'll get the Aston Martin vest. I'll get the Aston Martin jacket. And I can just wear my McLaren Mercedes silver hat with the Spanish flag on it and the big old number 1 because that's what my boy is going to be. Number 1.
There we go.
Ted Kravitz also said day 2 of testing, or actually day 3, if the race had happened on day 3 of testing, it would have been Max Verstappen first, Charles Leclerc, or Carlos Sainz second, Fernando Alonso third. So Sky Sports commentators are saying it, and they owe nothing to Alonso. In fact, they hate him because they're all Lewis Hamilton blokes. Watson, will you stop chewing on yourself? Anyways. So I'm very happy. Fernando is doing extremely well. He looks like he is his old self, and I'm so glad that I have the Aston Martin Cognizant Aramco Formula One team Instagram and TikTok because their admin knows how to make some fire edits. So now I get to see my favorite driver in the sickest of edits, nonstop, with sick music. And I'm just sitting there and I was like, oh, I'm loving this. And so the other night, would you stop it? I went on Instagram Reels and I got lost in the wormhole for like 2.5 hours of Alonso videos. And then I rewatched the entire 2003 Hungarian GP when he won his first race and become the youngest Grand Prix winner of all time in his Renault. None of that is relevant.
None whatsoever. Not a single bit of it.
Other than throughout multiple days of testing, Fernando was in the top 5 almost nonstop. First 2 days, he was in the top 3. And there's been, I would have to look on Twitter, but there was a few reports from like motorsport magazines, trusted sources, and they were saying if you adjust for like the variation in fuel loads and stuff, what the lap times would be, and Alonso was, wait for it.
I'm waiting.
Never mind, I can't find it. All I just see,
all
I have in my bookmark on Twitter is Alonso hitting the gritty. Hold on. But that all being said, I think our predictions, Ben, of Alonso getting a podium or two and potentially being a surprise winner are looking more and more realistic.
Very accurate. I'll be honest. As annoyed as I am to say it, and this pains me, like this is from deep down in my soul, I hate this. I hate giving Nick any moment of satisfaction when it comes to Fernando Alonso. I'm very impressed. I think he's going to do very well this year. I think if you aren't in a Red Bull, a Ferrari, or a Mercedes, you want to be in that Aston Martin. And I think
I think if you're in a Mercedes, you want to be in an Aston Martin.
For sure. So Mercedes has reportedly said that they are going to change up many things with their car before Bahrain, possibly including the side pods, which for those of you who don't know.
I just sent you. You need to see it. It's a comparison of the FlowViz on the side pods of the Red Bull and the Mercedes. And on the Red Bull, and you can put this in the podcast.
Oh, yeah, the pictures.
A beautiful line.
Perfect. Outstanding.
And Mercedes, it looks like there was a hot diarrhea clear out of the side pod.
Threw a bucket of paint at it. So
or
well done, Adrian Newey.
Or
well done, Adrian Newey. You can build a damn good car.
The Mercedes had too much Taco Bell, and it came out of the side pod.
I don't know that I needed that image, but it was very accurate. So that Aston Martin is very fast, and I think he will, assuming that Ferrari and Mercedes weren't like major sandbagging for testing, which to be fair, once again, we'd like to preface this, it's testing, technically means nothing.
Which,
technically.
If Mercedes and Ferrari was sandbagging, it would stand to reason that a team that is typically a midfield team wouldn't want the faster teams to know that they have something.
How fast they were. It's quite possible.
If anything, I bet Mike Crack he's like, Fernando, let's not go as fast. Let's reel it in. And Fernando was like, GP2 engine, and he just kept going.
Chugging
and Mike's
along.
Like, Fernando, reel it in.
So the Aston Martin is going to be one to look for. I think that Fernando will be consistent top 7 every race.
I think consistent top 7, and I would say it's about a 50-50 whether or not he's top 5.
For sure. I mean, assuming that Mercedes doesn't get their stuff together, I mean, he could be top 5 all season. He could be way up there. I would not be surprised
if testing was representative. If it was honestly representative, he's top 5 the entire season
for sure. And I mean, to be fair, it's also reasonable to stand that Aston Martin could develop the car a lot over the season. The car could
that's what I'm hoping, because Aston Martin developed last year's car so well to get to the end of the season. Like, so what if by the end of the season they're on par with Ferrari and below Red Bull?
I would be very excited to see that. I'd be very excited to see.
You'd be very excited to see it until I come into school on Tuesday. Celsius.
I'd be excited to watch the races. I would be very unexcited to hang out with you.
Anytime Alonso's on a podium, we're gonna have a hiatus from the clutch dump. It's just gonna be a skip.
Heads up. Yeah. I'll just post on Instagram the results.
Yeah.
And then just block Nick for a week, and then on Friday, unblock him. Yeah. And if he podiums again, reblock him. That's for sure. So the Aston Martin is very impressive. Felipe Drugovich not putting in stunner times, which to be fair, he's a rookie.
He deserves a seat.
We don't. No one likes you.
Nobody likes Felipe Drugovich.
No, you know who likes Felipe Drugovich? Most of the internet, apparently. So he was 14th on day one.
Cute Brazilian guy.
He did not run day 2, and he was, where was he? Oh, he was 10th right behind Fernando Alonso on day 3. Now, I don't want to talk about Red Bull because I'm a Ferrari fan and I don't want to cry on this episode. What I do want to talk about is McLaren because I am a
Ferrari fan.
No, it's tragic. What I do want to talk about is McLaren because I am a McLaren fan and I am willing to cry about that. It looks
McLaren is in so much trouble.
McLaren looks like they built a dog of a car, dude. It is.
They built the equivalent to like a 10-year-old Bernese Mountain Dog of a car.
Okay, so some context. Last year, McLaren came 5th in the Constructors' Championship, narrowly behind Alpine, right? Now, which we'll get to them in a second. McLaren. Day 1, Norris was 5th. That looked like he was running a qualifying run. Oscar Piastri was 18th. It looked like he was running race pace for most of the day. Day 2, Piastri was 9th, and Lando Norris was 16th. Day 3, Norris 11th, Piastri 16th. That does not look like finishing P4, P5 in the Constructor Championship worth of pace. And it has been reported that Lando Norris was spotted punching a wall after testing. Apparently, he's not thrilled with the car. which deeply saddens me because McLaren is one of those teams where like it's a midfield team that I like really want like to get a couple podiums, be up there battle with the Mercedes and the Ferraris every once in a while. Nick's just here for Fernando Alonso. I don't even know why he's on the show.
Well,
honestly, you could have checked out like 5 minutes ago. We're done talking about him. You're good.
I'm going to crack a beer. Like, you can have this. Go ahead and try with your friends about Ferrari and McLaren.
McLaren, please, for Lando Norris's sake, fix the car.
Also, I have Ferrari and McLaren news. It's not news because it's like 2 years old, but I saw a clip from an interview today that I had never seen that would have changed the history of Formula One. So in 2013, Watson, you are such a needy son of a gun.
Watson, you're my favorite.
In 2013, Mercedes, after having Lewis on the team for 1 year, approached Ferrari and said, "We will give you Lewis Hamilton in exchange for Fernando Alonso." And Fernando waited too long to take the deal. But timeline. Fernando was on the verge of being signed going into the turbo hybrid era with Mercedes. So imagine Lewis's championships and then just add them to Fernando's total. He would be an 8-time world champion.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I have never wanted to feel the warm embrace of a 45 millimeter hollow point in the back of my throat, after hearing that interview.
How did you manage to make this about Fernando Alonso again? How did I allow this to happen?
Because he went to McLaren from Ferrari, and so I said it related to McLaren and Ferrari.
Okay.
Can't help that he's driven for like 7/8 of the grid.
Are you done now? Are you good?
We'll see.
Okay. Who hasn't he driven for? Williams and Haas? That's it?
Yeah.
That's actually it. Williams and Haas. That is it.
Yeah, Aston. Well, he hasn't driven for Mercedes. Mercedes is Braun. What was Braun before that? You wouldn't know. I don't even know why I'm asking you.
No, but I knew that it was Braun.
I don't think he drove for Mercedes then, because Braun, I think, was found. Let me look this up.
Well, Braun was 1 year only.
Right, but I don't know if they had bought a team or if it was founded. Oh, okay, so that took over from the factory Honda team. So no, he's not driven for Mercedes. He's not driven for Williams. He's not driven for Haas. But yes, Ferrari. Oh, no to Red Bull. So there's a lot of teams left. He still has some work to do. Come on.
He really hasn't driven for anyone. So McLaren not looking good. Williams looks like they made progress.
Williams definitely made progress, but just one last thing on McLaren that's not relating to Alonso. I love how McLaren fundamentally cannot manufacture a piece as simple as the fin that goes up over the wheel for the brakes. Like, that is a piece that you have raced 23 times last season, let alone all the practice and qualifying.
Right.
How much was changed that all of a sudden you're duct taping it?
Probably all of it, actually. They probably redesigned the whole thing. Did you know McLaren doesn't have their own wind tunnel?
No, do I care?
It's McLaren. They build like some of the fastest road cars and have an F1 team, and they don't have a wind tunnel. Do you know whose
Now you know why they haven't done well in like a decade.
Do you know whose wind tunnel they use?
Probably somebody else that's based in England.
Toyota.
Oh, yeah, everybody used Toyotas up until like 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. Surprised me that McLaren did not have wind tunnel. Anyway, McLaren not looking good. Williams looking strong. Who looks very strong, sort of, kind of, is the Haas.
Aston Martin. Oh.
Relax.
Haas looks horrible.
Nick, you look horrible. Haas looks pretty good.
I don't feel good.
Nick's like, my tummy hurts. I'm not doing well.
Hey, Jesus saves his toughest battles for his strongest soldiers. I am a tummy ache survivor. I don't want to hear.
Oh my gosh, I have to hang out with you tomorrow.
Hey, don't cry about it.
Haas is looking well. Nico Hülkenberg was 5th on day 2. However, every year Haas comes out swinging, and then they just don't develop their car as much as everyone else in about 5 or 6 races.
Haas gets to round 3 or 4, and people are bringing upgrade packages, and they're like, "Wait, you can upgrade?"
Right.
Like,
so Haas has money this year. Cool. With their big sponsor, MoneyGram. So they have money this year, so the car looks well. Nico Hülkenberg is really what I think Haas is holding out for. For those first 4 or 5 races where the car is competitive, I think they're relying on him to get that 8th or 9th, maybe 10th place. I think that's what they're hoping for those first 4 or 5 races, just to keep them above Williams and maybe AlphaTauri for the season.
Speaking of Haas, Alpine looks terrible.
I don't know what the two have to do with each other, but
they
yes,
don't. I'm just transitioning.
Alpine had a very quiet test weekend, I think.
Alpine looks miserable. And Will Buxton was saying when Ocon was on some of his laps, how unsteady, unstable, just like that car was on a knife's edge in terms of its performance.
I think Alpine, because Alpine was in 4th last year at the end of the season, right? And they just barely made 4th. I think they decided with the new rules, which there weren't a ton,
that
but
they
did
need to
change.
Upgrade too much or update.
I think they updated too much, and they strayed too far away from their car last year. But
we still don't know what they've done differently. The car looks identical.
To be fair, we don't know what most people have done to their cars.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, in the launch, we looked at the Alpine and we're like, what is this?
Yeah, but the launches have nothing to do with the cars, except for Aston Martin, apparently. So, I'll let you do your thing. But the Alpine looks horrible. So day 1, Gasly was 16th, Ocon was 17th. Day 2, where were they? Gasly 10th. Not bad. Pretty horrible for a team that finished 4th. Ocon 12th. Day 3, we had, they're way down there. Gasly 12th, Ocon 14th.
I saw, there was a meme I saw on Instagram the other day, and it was videos of Fernando in, like, merch, doing, like, some press thing, and he was, like, super kind of just going through the motions, and it was, like, me at my wedding, and it's him just kind of going through the motions, and it said me at Alpine's downfall, and it's Alonso in a tux, and he's, like, doing his bow tie, and he's, like, fidgeting his suit, and I was like, dude, I'm so happy, especially after watching Drive to Survive. Otmar over here, like, gotta have my zinc. That's my vitamin C. And he's like, okay, I have this soft and fluffy exterior, but I'm a competitor.
Excellent transition. So, if you didn't see, which you should have, by the way, you should all go watch. I have not
seen all of it either.
What?
Because my wife was working all day, and I wasn't watching it without her.
To go watch.
Ben, I watched it until we fell asleep last night, and then I woke up and she went to work. And then
this is why being married is inconvenient. I just watched it all immediately.
Well, it's not like you're going to spoil anything. Max Verstappen is world champion, and Ferrari blew it. I don't think there's anything I don't know.
That's the first thing we need to talk about with Drive to Survive. Here's the thing. Like, we already know what happens. We watched the whole season.
This is why Drive to Survive is a joke to me.
Everything.
Not to mention the fact that in every clip of the cars, if it's on board, you can watch the LEDs. They'll be downshifting, braking, and Drive to Survive overlays upshifting noises because they want it to sound action-packed. It's not even...
Here's the thing. Drive to Survive gets a bad rap, especially from old people like Nick Patty.
The only thing that I enjoy watching about Drive to Survive is the driver interviews, getting some more insight outside of what the drivers say to the press. Like, that's I genuinely enjoy it. Seeing the behind the scenes between the team principals behind closed doors, and like all that stuff I love. But it's when they're trying to do like the race recap and they're trying to like summarize the race in a few clips, and it's the commentary and it's clips of the cars, but they're overlaying acceleration when they're in braking zones, and that to me is like, for anybody that actually watches the races, you're sitting there and you're like, this is ridiculous.
But like, I agree with you. I think you're right. I think it is very much so to appeal to. I think it is very much so to appeal to not diehard Formula One fans,
or anybody that understands how an engine works. When a car is slowing down, it doesn't accelerate.
Most F1 fans probably don't know that, Nick.
Wow,
because
Ben, how dare you patronize these F1 fans?
Most F1 fans now are probably from Drive to Survive.
What are you talking about? Every F1 fan is equal, Ben.
No. Anyway.
I just had to have you say it for me.
Yeah, no, I'll go ahead and say that.
Okay,
there are people like you who need to relax, and then there's Drive to Survive fans. And somewhere in the middle is everyone else. I mean, Drive to Survive. Like, we make fun of it because it's like, we already know what's happening.
But it gave me...
I was so locked in on every episode. I
will say this. The cinematography...
Fantastic. Really good.
Clip of Checo getting out of his car and the Ferraris going around him in slow-mo.
Oh, dude,
only Ferrari wasn't incompetent, and that wouldn't be ironic. Like, dude, it's like, oh man, wow, look at that. Like, suck on that, Red Bull. But we watched races later, Ferrari blows it and loses the championship. So
we watched that, and I was with Jacob, and Jacob is a diehard Verstappen fan. And like huge Red Bull fan, and I see that happen, and I just smile and I look over, and he's just like really annoyed, just like blank face, pissed off.
If I'm Jacob, I just turn to you and I go, "Yeah, but who won the championship, jackass?" Like
that's not the point, Nick. Okay.
Well, and I'm thankful for Drive to Survive because it gave me some of the most amazing Alonso content I've ever seen. Like Alonso going,
that was a really
always
good
heroes
episode.
and anti-heroes, and I'm on the dark side.
I'm on the dark side, and I was like,
I was like,
at least he knows.
I'm on the dark side.
I was like, at least he knows that nobody likes him. So well done.
Except for me. I love you, Fernando.
No. I meant on the grid.
I love you, Fernando.
Yes. So Drive to Survive came out. I really liked it.
Okay, so compared to the other seasons, where would you rank this one?
Fourth best. I think last year was really good. What?
I was going to say second or third best.
I mean, to be fair,
the one that's better, and I don't remember what season it was, is the season where Ricciardo left Renault.
Oh, you know what? That was really good, to be fair.
That whole...
Yeah. I'd put it third or fourth. I do think that last year's was really good as far as the cinematography and capturing the whole
2021
chaos of the season. Yeah.
Right. Not last year. Last season.
Yeah, sorry. Season 4, which is 2021.
Season 4 was good.
I was very good.
If only for no, Mikey, this is so not right, and the slamming of the headset.
I wish I had that mug sitting here, but it's over there.
Wow, Ben.
But
I'm sorry,
I'm unprepared. I have my Ken Block mug, and I have my I'm a Mechanic mug. Drive to Survive, super good. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. I don't know why we have to plug Netflix's stuff, but you should watch it. It's really good. And if you are not a diehard F1 fan, it does give you some insights. It's not take it with a grain of salt. That is my opinion on Drive to Survive.
If you're not a diehard F1 fan, my advice, genuinely, not being a smartass, is just watch F1.
I mean, that is true. To be fair, you'll
spend more time watching Drive to Survive than you could just go back and watch the races. Like, they really only show, I think, 4 races across several episodes.
And the other thing is that you'll watch the same... The one thing I don't like about Drive to Survive is that, so for starters, I like it because it doesn't follow the season per se. It follows different elements of the drivers and the teams and the drama and that sort of thing. However, I don't like... My problem with it is that, like, you'll see the same race, like, 5 times.
So I literally was telling Shelby that because I was like, listen, I don't need to see 4 times what happened at Paul Ricard. Like, I could not care. Just in the other... This goes to the model of Drive to Survive where it's more team-focused, and so if there's a race weekend where 2 or 3 teams had something big, they'll just show the race weekend 2 or 3 times rather than saying, okay, it's team-focused, but 4 teams had something big happen at this one race. So for that episode, just have it be that one race weekend. Don't have it be team focused. Right. If it's Paul Ricard, just do a Paul Ricard episode and you touch on everything that happened rather than you do 4 episodes that covers 8 teams and then 3 of those 4 cover Paul Ricard.
Yeah. Overall, Drive to Survive this season, good? Yes?
I would say it's good. I still have 2 episodes left. I'm just happy Fernando got literally a single line of dialogue, because last season Fernando did not have one line. One. In the season where he had.
By the way, you've got 2 episodes
podium?
left.
Yeah.
You've got 2 episodes left. He's got a bit more dialogue in there. So,
Good. I haven't seen the Haas episode because we just skipped that.
Tough. Have you? So you've seen the Fernando episode, which means you've seen the Piastri episode.
Yes.
Which they did very well. I was very pleased with that.
Dude, Otmar.
Loved that episode.
Otmar, I didn't like him because of how he treated Fernando, and somehow I dislike him more having seen Drive to Survive.
Dude, he
is
doesn't
the most
have, like...
vanilla, plain clothes. Like, there was one where he goes, I've been in this sport 25 years, and I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I can't even name what team you've been on other than Force India and Alpine. And I've been watching. I only know him. It's not like I don't care. I know who Flavio Briatore was, and I was 6 when he retired, but I don't know who you are, and you've been doing it the entire time I've been alive.
Right.
More than that, the fact his first like introduction on screen is him trying to figure out which supplements he needs. I'm like, dude, stop. Like, I cannot deal with this.
He just doesn't have, like
a team Horner, prince. Fix your effing car, and then Otmar's just over there like.
Exactly, dude. Like Horner and Wolf and Gunther Steiner.
Even. Yeah, Steiner.
Yes, they've all got just a bit of ink care, get your stuff done.
Like Capito was like the mad scientist that's always just a little crazy. Like
he was. He's just a very smart guy, but I think he had enough, enough determination. Sure. But like Otmar, I just see him and I'm like, you just don't look like you.
I don't
think
you
just don't sound like
seriously.
You care. Yeah.
And here's the other thing: is he goes in. Okay, so I watched this episode last night. Otmar's like, I don't take losing very well, and he was like, we're gonna sue McLaren. We have a case in English common law, and he's tough talk, and then he's over here. He's like, I think we came out better on the other side with Pierre, so it's not worth the lawsuit. And I was like,
don't know about that one.
It's for being Mr. Tough Talk. You and the fact, God loves Zach Brown. Otmar got caught with his pants down, and I was like, you could not have said that better. Like, dude, Otmar is over there, caught with his pants down, turns around, everything exposed. He gets kicked in the balls, and then they give him already chewed on gum in the form of Pierre Gasly, and they're like, here. And Otmar's like, well, at least I got gum.
I mean, yeah, I think Alpine might be in a similar situation to Ferrari.
We need to make T-shirts because I want Watson for Alpine team principal, and I think he could do a better job.
Probably.
Like, Watson would have at least gone and pissed and pooped on the McLaren garage. He would have hiked a leg and pissed on it, marked his territory. Yeah. Otmar can't even do that. He's tripping over his vitamin C.
Yeah. Now, I'm assuming you haven't watched either of the other 2 docu-series that I included. If you scroll all the way back up to the top, you will see them. Now, Nick's not a motorcycle person, so I know for a fact he won't have seen the latter. So, Drive to Survive has created a giant fan base for Formula 1.
Have you seen In the Blink of an Eye? No.
What is that?
Okay, exactly. Okay. It's a racing documentary that if we're just going to throw them out there.
Well, these both also just came out, so that's why I included them. And There Can Only Be One is the MotoGP directed version of Drive to Survive. Now, it's a bit more fast-paced because it's only...
bunch of 4'11" guys wearing leathers.
Yes, that's what MotoGP is.
A bunch of effeminate Europeans covered in leather under 5 foot.
What's not to love? Anyway, there can only be one. So There Can Only Be One is the MotoGP docuseries, which came out. I think the last episode came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was 4 episodes. Now, it was done super well because what it did is it followed the season, but it followed the season focused on the title contenders. So, there was no, Tech 3 KTM
well, then
drama.
I would like it because Alonso was never challenging for a title for the last, 15 years.
So, what it did was it covered Mark Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia and Fabio Quartararo's, who was covering at the beginning, and then it brought in Alicia Spargo and it brought in Nea Bastianini, and that was super cool to watch. I just wish it was longer than 4 episodes. Now, they had one on Prime Video, which I do not remember the name of, because I watched 1 episode of it, and it was pretty horrible, so I didn't watch it. This, really good. Filmed super well, editing was super good, really liked it. However, one downside to it is it's only available on the MotoGP app. You have to be a MotoGP TV. Well, you have to be a MotoGP TV subscriber to watch it, is basically the thing. Whereas Drive to Survive is on Netflix. And then the other one is Marc Marquez All In, which is a Marc Marquez documentary, obviously, but it's about his recovery and the struggle after his big high side, which I can't believe was in 2019.
Jeez Louise.
Right? Like, I thought that was like last year, but apparently it was 2019 when he started having issues. So if you don't know, Marc Marquez had a really bad high side and broke his arm, and like he's just kind of known for crashing now. So they did a documentary on that. It's a 5-part docuseries. It is all in Spanish, which is kind of annoying, but subtitles fixes everything. It's fun. It's super good. It's filmed super well. You get a ton of insight into the personal life of both Mark and Alex Marquez. So that one's super cool. It's on Prime Video. You should go watch it. Nick, Patty, any final comments, questions, concerns, things to say at the end as we wrap up episode 37?
Random, but guys have made the switch to Android, so now all my videos will be nice and grainy on Instagram for you all to enjoy.
Woo! I literally don't have issues with that whatsoever. That's not a problem anymore. It doesn't exist.
Whatever.
Okay. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for episode 37. As always, make sure you go follow us on social media, like Nick said, at the top of the show, on Instagram, at The Clutch Dump, whatever platform you're listening to us on, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple, Google Podcasts, Pandora, any and every one of them, we are on it. Make sure you follow us, leave a rating, leave a review, etc. If you're on the YouTubes, hi. Also, subscribe and make sure you like, share the video, turn on the notification bell. It helps us out very much. As always, thank you so very much for listening. Thank you for watching. This has been episode 37 of The Clutch Dump. We'll see you next time.